100 Nights of Hero, which was the closing film of the Critics' Week. This is the latest film from Julia Jackman. When a charming house guest arrives at a remote castle, the delicate dynamic between a neglectful husband, his innocent bride Cherry, and their devoted maid Hero is thrown into chaos. This movie has actually a sort of big cast, but they don't really get utilized as much. For example, Richard E. Grant, Charlie XCX, Felicity Jones, they don't really pop up in the movie. This movie really gets headlined by Emma Corrin, Nicholas Galitzine and Micah Monroe. Tell me what you thought about 100 Nights of Hero.
It's a silly little goofy movie. It's pretty fun. It basically is taking place in a completely different reality. So it starts out with sort of this world being created. I think it's Felicity Jones, right, who created the world, wanted to some god, and then someone else came in, some sort of bird-like creature that was like, no, we need the world to be the most misogynistic, sexist world there is. And then it's obviously in a very direct way poking fun at all of these heightened versions of things that we are familiar with from our own patriarchy that we live in. And the commentary is very broad in its approach, and also is trying to make a bunch of points, but in that has a really talented cast that can get those emotions out of you. I think that the movie wants you to feel. I had a great time with it. I think the 100 Nights of Hero character is literally called Hero in the story. That structure I found to be initially really interesting. When it then got basically skipped over into a couple of beats, it felt like it is also shortening the time that we have with our characters, because these characters don't feel like 100 days have passed. So it also feels like we get less of these characters in a way. The structure of the film kind of drags a bit, I think, in the middle when it becomes about a certain story, which Charlie XCX is in, and it's sort of like a flashback-like nature that we get to hear this story, but it's broken apart a bunch. And it takes a long time to make its point, even though it's only 90 minutes long. But in between there's so many little bits, and I love Nicholas Galitzine in this as just the hunk who's trying to win someone over for a bet. And it's a classic structure of you do something for the joke of it and end up feeling something real by the end. It's that sort of setup, but it's not about him at all, right? Another story from the mid-2000s would have had him as the lead character who has to learn something, but it's not about him. It's about the culture that enables that sort of behavior and normalizes it, and them just trying to exist outside of that. I like it. I like it a lot. It's very fun. It's quite bleak at times as well in how this world operates, because it's quite terrifying, but it never addresses it, because it's oh, you can't point out that you're struggling, because that would make maybe a man uncomfortable. And I like that. It's very on the nose with all of its jokes, and everyone's in for it.
Honestly, at some points feels like a medieval fairy tale Love Island, right? Because the bet is essentially hey, if you can try to bet my wife in 100 days, Micah Monroe's character and her husband, and they're trying to get a baby, and the bird people or whatever are saying, you have to get pregnant by then, you have to get a baby.
Yeah, but it's also one to see on the level that this movie operates in. The bride, played by Micah Monroe, is called Cherry, and this whole movie is about her cherry being popped. That's the sort of jokes that you can expect.
That's sort of the level and silliness.
Yeah, that's silliness.
Exactly. The silliness is especially there. Like you said, there the time frame, there are quite a lot of time jumps. For example, we get day one, so it's very much like day one. And by the way, it's being marked in how do you call it in English?
Chapters?
The check marks? No, the numbers. It's getting marked. You really have to do the math, which day it is sometimes.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, they say what Micah Monroe's character is capable of, what her maid is capable of, and sometimes we don't even see anything of those capabilities. For example, like bird or eagle hunting it was, and it's like, oh, but I thought you could play, like, the playground is there, but they're not really using all of the toys that they have lying around, which I found a bit of a shame. And the ending sort of left me cold, sort of.
It's very preachy
out there
in a way.
It's very preachy. But that is sort of the point of that last scene. But then you get the last scene with Felicity Jones, and that's just. I didn't need that part.
Like, it was very much obvious, the commentary that it makes, and then not. To me, it's like always not understanding that this media is like not that important in the large scheme of things, but treating it as if it's like something, a huge declaration of something important at the end, feels a bit misaligned. Because I feel like when you hold the same like world thing up for, like, the silliness up for the whole time, and don't feel like you need to have a sincere moment, ultimately I think that can be more effective and stronger. And it feels like it just needs to be said at the end, and I don't feel like certain things need to be said because they were already pretty explicitly felt during the runtime.
But I very much had a blast with this movie. I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, me too. I had a great time with it.